Duxbollox Production
What's up YouTube? Welcome to the Duxbollox channel for this exclusive edition of Thai Canal Networks, where we'll take a dive into the sometimes deceitful world of Thai-based YouTubers. In the last couple of years, with everything that has been going on that we don't have to mention here, many of us had to rely on YouTube to satisfy our nostalgia for Thailand. People around the world were forced to stay at home, and for a lot of us YouTube was the only thing that kept us sane. Thankfully there are many foreigners and Thais alike who dish out quality content on a regular. Today I will tell you a story about a YouTuber who inspired me to make my first ever video. He, and his actions, are the only reason why you are watching this. The following story will be just a confirmation of their opinion to some, but will surely surprise many more. Without further ado, let's begin. This slimy specimen on your screen is Dave. Dave's the slightly better looking one in the gutter. Sorry about that, I meant to say in the bottom, not gutter. Damn Sigmund Freud. Also, fun fact. Monitor lizards are actually dry, not slimy. I hear too. Yeah, I said I hear too. For no apparent reason. So, what's so special about Dave? Well, this man is no ordinary man. He's a family man, a Hiberno English tutor, an Egyptian cotton shirt salesman and a YouTuber. He's also a walking contradiction. For example, he's an Irishman who doesn't eat potatoes and a dyslexic language teacher. He supposedly speaks Thai, but the Thais don't understand him when he does, and strangest of all, he has a rather crooked spine despite being completely spineless. His channel is Bangkok Diaries. No, not that one, that's a much older and bigger channel. Dave has very originally named his channel Bangkok Diaries Thailand. He is mildly famous for his lack of knowledge and research about most of the topics that he decides to quote-unquote cover. His videos are full of misinformation, and in them he basically just rambles about the same stuff over and over. If you've seen 5 or 6 of his videos, you've seen them all. The channel features some of the most captivating material one can find on YouTube, including but not limited to such hits as A Bad Day in Thailand, which is a gut-wrenching story about the notoriously racist ATMs in Thailand, giving a sperm sample, a fascinating account of a wanker wanking in a cup, and the highly produced Am I Gay?, which grabs the viewer's attention with oodles of cognitive dissonance and denial. His streams are a bit different and more candid though. The 3 to 4 hour long live streams where he gets absolutely hammered are a combination of his ladyboy boom boom stories, his Dubai hooker stories, and rants about his family, and Thailand in general. All laced with a generous serving of factually incorrect information. These streams are deleted as soon as they are finished, but don't be afraid that you'll miss anything, because he'll be rambling about the exact same things every week. Please understand, as Dave himself likes to say, and I quote, "It's not criticism lads, it's just an observation based on my experience." End quote. I know that that's an idiotic statement, but yeah. He says that after every one of his rants. There are plenty of people like this on YouTube, so why pick on Dave, you ask? Well, it turns out Dave is much more than all of the aforementioned. Turns out in fact, that teacher Dave was imprisoned in the beautiful country of Ireland. We've all made mistakes, and being an ex-con doesn't necessarily make one a bad person. Besides, who knows what he was in prison for? It could have been a bar fight gone bad or something. Nope. Wrong. Dave doesn't fight other men. What this horrible excuse of a man did is worse. Much worse. Before I blow the lid on this, I need to clarify that what I'm about to reveal is all in the public domain and easily accessible to everyone. I found all of this information purely by chance, which is a story in itself, one that I might tell later on the channel. Okay. No more beating around the bush, so let's just say it. David Keegan, of YouTube channel Bangkok Diaries Thailand, this absolute waste of oxygen, was in fact convicted and served time for trying to strangle his wife. Luckily for everyone, he failed at that too. How do I know all this? Well, please take a look at these headlines. Mother begged husband not to kill her with cable. Jail for man who pulled wire around wife's neck. My violent husband feigned remorse, left me destitute. Yeah, some grimy sounding stuff there. Let's pull up a couple of excerpts from these articles, so that we can make sure this was Dave. Spoiler alert. It was. I will just read these out for you. As I see no need for commenting, it's all quite self-explanatory. David Keegan, 45, was jailed for 3.5 years after pleading guilty to assault causing harm to his wife at his then home in Clondalkin on October 8, 2007. Judge suspended the last year of the sentence at Dublin Circuit Criminal Court. Name censored said she met her husband through an ad in the Herald's Meeting Point section in 1996. By the time of the attack, they had 4 children but were living apart. His wife had taken a barring order out against him. She said Keegan was trying to resume the relationship and asked to meet her at his rented house at Monksfield Estate. He had been given €50,000 in redundancy money from his previous employer, O2, and was offering her €5,000 as an apology for being a bastard for 10 years, she said. After he gave her the money, he asked her if they could get back together. When she refused, he placed a printer cable around her neck and started to choke her. She finally managed to free herself after a struggle and fled the house. She later received hospital treatment for her injuries. After going to Garda, her husband admitted to attacking her. While her husband expressed remorse for the attack in letters to the court and said he wanted to work to support his children, he has refused to sign a legal document that would help secure his children's family home. He has also not paid his estranged wife any maintenance support since he attacked her in 2007. He has left me financially destitute. The house has been awarded to me, but there is a legal document that he needs to sign in order to make my life, and more importantly his children's life, easier in terms of changing the mortgage repayments. He has refused so far to sign this. He has said he's sorry, but then why won't he sign this document to help us keep our house? That shows that he is not sorry. The last time he gave me money to support his children was the €5,000 the day he attacked me. He was free to leave Ireland and lived in Dubai while the case went slowly through the courts. He squandered his €50,000 redundancy money over there. The Irish Examiner also gives the judge's account. He described the assault during which Ms. Keegan had begged for her life as her husband pulled a computer wire around her neck as a dreadful thing. A probation report had stated he had a lack of insight into his domestic violence and it was difficult to say if his remorse was genuine. Links to the articles are in the description, and if you still don't believe that this was Dave, let me just list a couple of things about Dave that match these articles completely. If that is still not enough for you, and you will still believe Dave, then please, send me an email and I will send you something that should be of interest to you. It's a portfolio of bridges that I have on sale for only 12 more days, at special Kung Flu prices. I can already see you walking along your private bridge, wearing 2 face masks and gloves, and thinking about Jeffrey Epstein's suicide. For this special, once-in-a-lifetime offer, contact me at duxbollox@bridgesuppliers.gov.bs. I have no comment to make, except that I find 2.5 years to be an extremely benevolent sentence. It was probably given in hopes of Dave finally doing his duties as a father after his release. Alas, it wasn't to be. Upon his release, closely followed by him receiving a quite large sum of money, which was his share of a family inheritance, Dave oiled up his achy bumhole and fecked off to Thailand. On a never so slightly more positive note, at least we now understand David's weird ladyboy fixation. After all, I'm sure he had plenty of backshots up the batty, once the other inmates found out who he is. According to multiple witness accounts, he was known as Bottoms Up Dave. His unfiltered charm, coupled with his long legs and an affinity for perversion, is said to have ignited a full-blown gang war between two rival groups of travelers. Luckily, the two groups managed to agree on an acceptable sharing model reasonably quickly, so the only two serious victims of the 2009 Shelby-Katona gang war were Dave the Slave's Pride, and his poor bumhole. These witness accounts are to be taken with a handful of salt, as all of the witnesses were intimate with Dave at one point or the other. Now, if you're not too busy, I would like to ask you to stick around for just a tad bit longer, because there's another couple of tiny details that I'd like to mention. All of the following is stated in an attempt to save the curious viewer from temporary increase in risk of brain aneurysm, which watching Dave's rebuttal attempt would undoubtedly result in. David has, successfully until now, reinvented himself as a quote-unquote teacher. He's actually a community tutor at Italki, which is slightly different, as you can see from the illustration. If you would like to book a conversation with him, here are the prices, in euros. It's interesting to know that a well-known company such as Italki would hire Dave. It certainly might confuse some potential new clients/students. And why would they hire someone who did time for that type of a crime? Well, fear not, potential Italki customers. Because they would not. As I will explain shortly. Just in case you're curious about how much money David made from his unsuspecting students in the last few years, let me just give you the latest estimates, directly from the Institute of Basic Mathematics and Biology. Taking the minimum price of a modest €6 per conversation, for the 9,257 conversations held until the making of this video, the Institute calculated that there had always been only two genders of the human species and that David Keegan has earned a minimum of €55,542. Not bad for a chancer living in his mother-in-law's house rent-free up until just 3 days ago. The Institute also noted that at those prices, David would be making a minimum of 9,320 Thai baht per an average 40-hour working week of conversing with non-native English speakers. Not bad at all. Especially since his budget was supplemented by numerous donations which have so far gotten David a new camera, a couple of microphones, shitloads of beer, and a Bushman outfit. With me being the Duxbollox, I have asked for another estimate, just to double-check my information. As I always do. The Bill Nye College of Modern Sciences, Mediacracy, Breaking Stereotypes, and Critical Race Theory, has said that gender is a spectrum and that maths are racist. They followed that by inviting me to check my privilege and calling me a bigot for asking. Surprisingly enough, they sent me 73 vaccine vouchers for a brand of my choice. I would really like to thank them publicly for that. Thank you. It's been a long time since I had such quality paper to make my filters with. If you feel sorry for David, and want to donate a couple €100 to him, as I have seen happen before, just open any of his videos or streams. I apologize. You might not be able to find the links buried amongst all the other information, so allow me to give you a hand. There you go. You should be able to find the links more easily now. And now, all I am left to do is to absolve Italki and hit the final nail in David's proverbial coffin. Italki, the still reputable learning platform, does not employ a David Keegan. On top of that, they also have a background and records checking process. The way David Keegan weaseled his way around the vetting process, and into his conversationalist position at Italki is fairly simple, as is to be expected of such an individual. I will let you make your own assumptions about how he obtained a police clearance, because I don't want to make claims that I can't back with hard evidence. What is for certain though, is that David changed his name to Dave, as you can see from his official 90-day report card, signed and stamped by a Thai immigration officer. By doing this, David has successfully conned his way into the pockets and hearts of unsuspecting students worldwide. I believe that I have proven, without any reasonable doubt, that this individual is the wannabe strangler from the articles, and an overall abhorrent man. All the links are provided in the description, and I encourage you to do your own research and not take anything at face value, no matter how vomit-inducing the results of your research might be. This video was made solely as a warning to David's friends, students, and viewers, that this is not a person whose advice on anything you should be taking. I want to emphasize that I in no way condone harassment of any kind directed at this vile person. Being him, is enough punishment already. I would also like to ask one thing of you, if it's not too much of a hassle. Please, if you should see Dave, tell him I said hello. As, quite ironically, the Stranglers, out of all the bands in the world, have said. Seriously, you can't make this up. As for you David, since you're watching, if all you got out of this video is an idea for a new YouTube channel, don't even think about it. With your spelling, the videos would either sound shite, or take ages to make. Let's face it, the con artist formerly known as David Keegan, loves his money, but he's not really into working hard for it. If you're adamant on making a new channel, I would suggest making tutorials on how to build houses made entirely of cards. Your last one took an impressive 8 years to crumble down. And always remember Dave, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, be careful, you might end up sucking on a pair of Duxbollox. Oh yeah. One more thing Dave. Tell your wife who you are, before somebody else does. I think you have caused enough misery with your lies already. I have deliberately chosen not to elaborate on your long-term visa scheme, i.e. your marriage, in a perhaps naive attempt of giving you a chance to do the right thing for once. Fess up, take the consequences, and try not to ruin another family. Your current wife has 5 brothers, some of them retired police officers, who are very protective of their little sister. #just saying. I think the phrase you're looking for, David, is thank you. That was all for this video. It is the first one I ever edited, and I was learning on the way, which caused me to redo the whole thing exactly 7 times. I am not happy with the final result, but I honestly can't bear the thought of spending another second on it anymore. I hope that you will accept my apology. I'm the Duxbollox, with Thai Canal Networks, and that's all I've come to say.
There is one more thing. It's been emotional.
It is the Duxbollox